Good evening and welcome to the September 27th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. If everybody would rise to the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thanks for those of you that are attending and those that are tuning in. We do have a public hearing this evening, so I would call that public hearing to order. The Town of Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing today, the 27th, Tuesday the 27th, 6 p.m. Purpose of the public hearing is to hear comments on the proposed amendments to the General Assistance Ordinance. So, Nancy.
Hello, I'm Nancy, I'm General Assistance Director. This is a yearly event where we have to have our numbers approved. There's been quite a few changes this year in our situation for housing and overall maximums, and one tiny change in electric. So I'll just start with the overall maximums. For one person in the household, it used to be $695, it is now $734. And I'm just going to go right down to 2 people up to 5 people. 2 was $796, it's up to $860. 3 people was $1,009, it's now $1,065. 4 people was $1,370, it's now $1,439. And 5 people was $1,480, and now it's $1,460. What that is a maximum number that they can get help with for a 30-day period. The food benefits have not changed. And on the rental, they do have a weekly and a monthly, and an unheated and a heated. Every number has changed on that for 0 bedrooms.
So not to delay this, but who would rent the 0 bedroom? I mean, is that
Like a studio or something?
What is that's what's considered a studio?
Yeah, and sleep on the couch. Weekly for that was $126, is now $133, and I'm just going to go right across. Monthly for that was $541, which is now $570. If it was heated, it was $148, is now $156 for weekly, and was $637, now $671 monthly. And the next one is a 1-bedroom. The numbers were $139 for a week. It's now $155. For a month, it was $597. It's now $666. Heated was $169, now $184. Monthly was $726, now $790. And for a 2-bedroom, it was $178, now $193. For a week, unheated. For a month, unheated was $767, now $828. A week heated was $260, now is $228. A monthly was $927, is now $982. And for a 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom, unheated is the same for both. It was $251, is now $269. Monthly was $1,079, is now $1,156. Heated, not sure why they changed them individually, but they did. 3-bedroom was $297, now $313. 4-bedroom was $304, now $314. That was a week. For a month was $1,275 for a 3-bedroom, now $1,344, and it was $1,308 for 4 bedrooms, now $1,349. And on the electricity side, if you have an electric hot water heater, they have different numbers for with or without. For one person in the household, the weekly number is the only one that changed from $19.10 up to $20.08. And that is the only changes we have. Mileage hasn't changed, and household, personal, and food has not changed.
Okay.
Any questions?
Where do these changes come from?
The state.
State.
And just, we've gone through this a few times. Question usually comes up every year. Why do we have to accept the state changes? We don't have to, but if we don't, then we have to have our own study that says that this is what the numbers are within our community, right?
Yes.
And then it has to be approved by the state.
Correct.
So we have traditionally adopted these numbers. Any other questions or comments?
We've done that for years.
Yeah. Anything else on the board? Anything else, Nancy?
All set.
Anything from the public? If not, I would call the meeting to a close. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is to vote. Discuss and vote, approve the amendments to the General Assistance Ordinance as presented.
So
What's your
moved.
pleasure? Been moved by
Second.
Selectman Woodsome, seconded by Selectman Gale. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. I'm going to move into any announcements from the board.
I have one. I'd like to, on behalf of the town, extend our appreciation to Trooper Adam Schmidt and his K-9 for assisting our local law enforcement presence in locating a woman in the woods who had wandered away from a assisted living facility. I think it shows not only cooperation between the two agencies is good, but it's a resource that the town can count on when it's needed, and I'm just happy that she turned out to be found and was in good health.
Okay. Anything else from the board? Okay, additions or deletions to the agenda. Anything that we've got to tee up here? Sensing none, we'll move on. Public comment, anybody that would like to speak that is not on the agenda? Moving right along. Correspondence, those correspondence that you can find and request copies of the Treasurer's Report, Representative Prescott's legislative update, and Senator Woodsome's newsletters. Those, if you don't have a copy and would like a copy, you can stop in and see Jerry or Gary and for those of you that
That's from
enjoyed
Mr.
that
Hall.
entertainment, small commercial break. So while that happened, anybody that has cell phones, if you could just put them on silent. Also, before we get into the meat of the meeting here, I know there's a sign-up sheet going around just to help us out with who was here. If you would please sign that before you leave, we'd appreciate it. All right, let's get into the meat of the agenda here. Reports of staff initiatives, selectmen's reports.
I missed the road review committee last week because I was working, but other than that, nothing.
Tim?
I was at the planning board meeting and they were asking about the status of the design standards. And, I think that's kind of a pillar of the comprehensive plan. I think it's something that the public would overwhelmingly support, and when we have the time to put it on the agenda, I think it would be a good project. Thank you.
All right. John, anything? Gordon?
Yeah, I recently completed some drone aerial photography for the fire department, along with our IT personnel and people over at the Saco River. They're putting together a video which shortly will appear on the town's website and on our Facebook presence that will give folks sort of a bird's eye view, so to speak, of the overview of why some of the things are needed for the fire department in the upcoming bond issue. It's going to be presented at the November elections. So if you happen to get a chance and that comes out, you got to tune in. It's a fairly good video. You'll have the opportunity to see the chairman of the board speak, because I've seen the the preliminary copy. They're just refining it a little bit now, but I think it's very, very well done. And that's a resource that the town can rely on, is that video studio over there that's on the Plains Road in Hollis. So.
Okay.
Do you have a timing on the release date or some video?
Excuse me?
Do you have a timing on the release date?
No, it should be very shortly, because I know that the fire chief and the assistant chief went over and met with them. I think it was yesterday or Friday, excuse me. And, so it should be, coming out very shortly.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay? Hearing.
I know. I can't get it to turn on.
Uh-oh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jumping in on where Gordon was just talking about the open house for the fire station, remember that Waterboro voters are going to vote November 8th for an addition to the fire station. We had one open house and attendance was pretty slim. About 10 people came. The majority of them were not in favor of this project, which is fine. We want those people to come. And the overwhelming majority of those folks that came to listen and learn and see what they were going to be voting on changed their mind somewhat, and most of them left in support, or at least understanding the operational reasons for the addition. The next open house will be Sunday the 16th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., followed by another one on Monday, October 24th from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And especially if you're not in favor of this project or you just don't know, we would just ask that you go to the station and just have a quick tour by the staff at these times or any other time, so that before you vote you're informed. The other thing that's coming up is, should we eliminate town meeting in Waterboro? Selectmen have decided we're going to collect signatures on November 8th at the polls. We need at least 732 signatures from registered voters here. We know there'll be several times that voting, probably this fall, and we're going to collect those signatures there and probably have a vote in June, a ballot question on whether or not town meeting should be replaced with referendum voting, a written ballot instead of the actual town meeting. We still need some volunteers to sign up to collect signatures that day, so if you're interested in doing that, you can see myself or Christine Torno out front, Deputy Clerk. We shredded over 3,200 pounds of documents here a couple Fridays ago. I wasn't around, but the rest of the staff jumped in. It was quite a community effort. A lot of things are out of the building now. The attic looks much, much better. The map room over in the other section of Town Hall is much more organized, thanks to Tammy and Glenn, and all that work is appreciated. It's been going on for months. I've heard back from Tim, Dennis, and I guess Gordon about tentatively scheduling a business after hours for Wednesday, the October 26th, tentatively from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. here in Town Hall, for the business community to come for a traditional business after hours type gathering with maybe a very short program on one or two topics. The EDC has chimed in and they're good with that time, so I guess John and Dwayne, if you're okay with that time, now we have a majority here, I think we'd move forward and get this advertised early to get a good attendance there. Concerning our dump truck, we went out to bid. We received 5 fairly competitive bids, and Doug and I spent a lot of time today going over the minutiae so we can compare apples to apples. The bids were publicly opened at noon by the Public Works Director, Fire Chief, and Sherry Netto. They were from O'Connor, New England Kenworth, Freightliner, Western Star, and Whitehead Peterbilt, a new place in Saco. We're still in the final stages of making sure we're comparing apples to apples before making a decision, but we're very close. The prices are very close as well. Moving over to the salt shed, the overhead doors are in. They need some minor adjustments in the electric eye installed. The final grading for paving is done inside and the 2 pads outside the building. And I think we're also going to pave from Bennett Hill Road in to get rid of that mud in the springtime. We've got some paving money. We carried some money forward last year. We'll put that towards that project, I think. And the last thing I have is we had an interview today for Waterboro 2, our second police officer. That went well, and hopefully by the next meeting we may have a suggested name for our second police officer here. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions, comments? All right. Moving into new business, discuss a vote for committee appointments. We had a interview this evening with an applicant, so what's the board's pleasure?
I will move that we appoint Jim Southworth to the ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Discuss vote to reschedule the November 8th meeting. That would be Election Day. So preference would be to go to the 15th or the 1st and the... Well, we meet the 25th.
Would the first be better since you might, if there's any cleanup informational things before the election?
I don't have a problem with that. You guys are okay with meet the first? In lieu of the 8th.
Last 2 months we've been here every Tuesday night anyway, so.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a ringtone, and it's gonna be on. You're gonna have something that we all enjoy, the music.
That wasn't that bad.
Yeah, but there's thousands of phones that have that ringtone on.
That's the default ringtone for
November
Apple.
1st.
So November 1st in lieu of the 8th.
Is that a holiday? or-
No,
I wonder why it's in there.
The 10th is the,
It's all
the
Saints'
11th
Day.
is the 11th is.
I'll make a motion to remove the 8th meeting to November 1st.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Discuss the vote to approve and sign a quitclaim deed, map 43, lot 004. Appears that this has been around a while, huh?
This nice neighbor came in and paid all the taxes on their neighbor's property, and I think they're gonna try and acquire it. And that is a much faster way to do it than try and buy it at auction. So evidently, they have a good relationship, and that's why it's before you guys.
So what's the board's pleasure?
So moved that we
Sign the
sign
quitclaim?
a quitclaim deed for the property.
And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Map
Moved and
43.
seconded, discussion. So the back taxes have all been paid and the liens? Everything's clear.
Yep.
Okay. All right, all those in favor? Opposed? All right. Item D, discussion on allowing ATVs on local roads. This has been discussed a couple of times, different meetings and whatnot, and really as a result of more and more development, restrictions, etc., squeezing the trail system that exists today. A lot of other municipalities have ordinances or votes that have allowed ATVs to travel more than the state limit on municipal roads. So, and since the majority of the people in the room tonight have an interest in this, so I guess I would ask that the ATV club, if they would like to present what they're requesting, then step on up to the microphone.
Okay, Todd Abbott, president of the ATV Club, live in North Waterboro. And I had called Gary, and Gary had been working, and I have been working on developing an ordinance, which is the last time we were here and talked to you guys, that was kind of the path that we were going to go. Still believe that that's the path that we should go. We do need to develop an ordinance for the whole town. But we have been having, people are still using Daring Ridge Road, even though we have the trail marked as closed. I know Sean has had a few people pulled over from time to time throughout the summer. Seeing that we're at the time of year that we are right now, we're late in September, hopefully we'll be able to get a vote by October, but essentially our season ends when snow hits the ground. Once there's more than 6 inches of snow on the ground, our trails close. So in a way, I guess I was hoping to maybe speed this along. The one issue, even when I came originally, the reason that we came was because we had lost a parcel off from Deering Ridge Road. That was a 160-acre parcel. Basically, it split our 60 miles of trail almost directly in half. And we really have exhausted all avenues surrounding landowners. One of the issues is we have 30 feet of ledge to blast through if you go through one landowner's property. So we have a multitude of issues to go around with other parcels. So what we'd really like to do is ask for Deering Ridge Road now, that would go from essentially the end of Deering Ridge Road to the end of Bennett Hill Road. The double pole line is part of our trail system, which comes out right at the end of Bennett Hill Road, and it only seems to make the most sense. We do have a landowner that gets us up a little bit further onto Deering Road, Ridge Road, towards the end of the road. That would possibly come out across from Edith Huey Road. We could entertain that as an option as well, but where there's only maybe, a half a mile in between those two locations, we figure that Bennett Hill Road to the end of Deering Ridge Road is what we're requesting. Signage would be required. We could cover the cost of that. They have to have yellow signs dictating that it is an ATV access route. This is state ruling. So you have to identify it as an access route. You would also identify that it's a speed limit posted. It would also be posted that you needed to stay on the pavement and not off from the pavement. Issues that have occurred through time and in different locations, when ATVs ride along the side of the road, they're disturbing that gravel on the side of the road. Rain comes, makes that soil a little bit more easy to wash away. Side of the road sort of breaks down over the course of time. So ultimately, we don't want to have issues or create issues for the town. We're looking at trying to alleviate some of the problems. Economic development portion of this is this is a big deal. This trail being closed has really impacted businesses in the area. I was on the phone with Leo Bennett, Lakeside Market, just before I came, just kind of get an idea of money-wise, or what has it, or how has this affected him. Basically, he told me right now we are getting into the busy season, leaf peeping season, cooler weather. Spring, fall is when he has the most traffic of ATVs in and out of the store. Town line would also be one of these. If you're on an ATV, you need to access gas, you need to access food, do different things. So Lakeside is one of those stopping points. Town line is as well. I've not had a chance to talk to Dan Sylvester. But according to Leo, they're getting 5 to 10 people a weekend with ATVs right now, which is very uncommon. Usually he's about 100 per weekend. So he's at an 80% loss in ATV business and what he has had. What that represents in total to his business, that I couldn't tell you. But I do know that he has had a substantial drop-off in business with ATVs. So I guess that's the gist of it. It is somewhere about 2 miles of road that we're looking at doing. We've entertained 15 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour. Ultimately, a lot of the state is at 15 miles an hour. Any ATV access routes, as they're called, are set at 15 miles an hour, and some towns have chosen to go to 20 miles an hour. Where Deering Ridge Road is somewhere about 2 miles of road that we would be running. I guess my recommendation would be to go to 20 miles an hour, just so that we don't impede traffic flow that much. I guess that's it. That's what I've got for information.
Why wouldn't you just go the speed limit?
Speed.
Like you say, it's a narrow road.
Correct. I wouldn't necessarily say that the speed limit on that road is 35 miles an hour, which is it's a little bit within ATV. Again, you have a knobby tired vehicle. Those tires are not made to go on the pavement. So typically across the state, it has been set to 15 to 20 miles an hour, more as a safety issue. I'm not going to tell you that you couldn't do 35 miles an hour, but as a safety issue.
It's more the limits of the machine.
More the limits of the machine, and different machines vary. One machine might be able to do a lot more than another machine. Some of the old ATCs, three-wheelers, and things like that, I don't know that I'd want to be doing more than 20.
Yeah.
John?
I think we are looking at, in the future of this town, we're looking for more recreation, that this would be a bigger part of the Waterboro future. So I'm all for use of public roads. On that Deering Ridge, there are sometimes, when we've had traffic studies there's been people clocked at 75, 80 miles an hour coming down there. So I'm thinking if you're going 20 miles an hour on an ATV,
and someone comes screaming up behind you at 75 miles an hour on a kind of a, somewhat of a blind area, your machine is fairly loud. I'm not sure you're going to hear the car coming. So I'm kind of concerned about the safety of the ATV people driving on that road.
Wow.
Any thoughts about that?
I would agree. One, they're not supposed to be doing 60 or 70.
Second deputy.
Yeah. I think that in some ways, I guess I would hope that maybe possibly because this turns into an ATV access route, that might very well slow down traffic and alleviate two problems. You know what I mean? That's my hope. Whether or not that's a reality, we don't know. But I would hope that if there's signage all along the road where the ATV access route is, there will be signage and people will be reminded that there are ATV people on that road. And again, during different times, traffic flow on Deering Ridge Road is the highest traffic is probably during commuting back and forth to work. Most ATV people aren't out enjoying the roads or the trail system during those hours. We're usually a weekend or evening, that type of thing. Not to say that it's not going to happen, but I would think the likelihood of somebody riding an ATV down Deering Ridge Road at 6 o'clock in the morning is probably pretty slim on a Monday or Tuesday, Monday through Wednesday or Friday, whatever.
I think that, people going up there, especially at first, while the motorists aren't used to seeing ATVers on the road, got to be real vigilant about. And one of the positive features is you can bail off the road if you get someone that coming at you. You can get off the road a heck of a lot easier than you can in a car.
This is true. It'll be a little less bumpy of a ride. But. And I have been in contact with our local deputy, Sean Sanborn, and he has spoken very highly about what they've been able to do in Lake Arrowhead, and they've allowed ATV access on their roads in Lake Arrowhead. So he is a proponent from what in my talking with him. I think that ultimately we're not going to know how this is going to go until we try it. And to a certain extent, looking at the time frame that we're at in the year, we got a 2-month window to try something. So I guess that's kind of why we're. And again, Gary and I are currently working on ordinances. We've talked to Berlin. I think you talked to Greenville, Rangeley. More recently, since Gary and I have talked, I think I left him a message about the Denmark ATV Club up in Brownfield. They've gotten permission to ride the roads up there. So it is something that seems to be happening a little bit more and more in some of the small communities around. And when you go to, say, call Berlin, New Hampshire, I mean, last weekend they had 7,000 people. I'd just say Waterboro is going to become that same place, right? We don't have the thousands of miles of trail that are just open logging roads and that type of thing. But ultimately, without having trails that interconnect, it makes it very hard for the club to maintain its membership. Membership drives the club. Without membership, you don't have people involved in the club to support the clubs, to be able to go out to ask the current landowners permission to run their trail system. You had mentioned something about, future of economy. It is something that we have talked about. I will tell you right now, there's not a whole lot going on business-wise. There's no new businesses coming to town. There's nothing big on the table that's saying this is what's happening. You currently have an existing cash flow of ATVs and recreation. I don't want to not include snowmobiles because they are part of that recreation as well. But they feed a lot of money into stores and communities, gas stations. As they're driving into the town, they're stopping at different locations, that type of thing. So.
Yes, sir.
And I think one statement from a former board member or a former president of the Snowmobile Club saying at this point in time they're not interested in this including snow sleds.
This would be true.
being on the
Correct.
roads. So
Correct.
We were talking about both weeks ago here.
Okay. Years ago, just to go back years and years ago, when I was a little kid, I used to plow the side of the road with a nice shelf off the side of the road. That's when we had snow. But you used to be able to ride your snowmobile on that nice shelf that was created there. So at one point in time, that was really what helped to drive snowmobiles and get the snowmobile club started. And so they had access like this at one point in time that helped them grow and develop and become what they've become over the last 30 years.
Yeah, so if we were to lose lake access for some reason, then we would be in the same predicament that the four-wheeler club is in currently. So that's the outlet we currently have available to us.
Right.
You know, we talked about this on the Comprehensive Plan Committee as a possibility of these trails being chopped off by something like that, and this is exactly what has happened.
Correct.
And we talked about using the roads. And I don't know if it's something you have to sell to the people on the road, but I mean, it's a huge tourist attraction.
Oh, absolutely.
That road's a super highway for communities.
And you are coming up on leaf peeping season. You know, I mean, we're coming right into the heart of all of this. You know, so to some extent, like I said, we got 2 months left of the year. Maybe we can get it approved till trails close for the season and see where it goes from there. But ultimately, our goal would be to allow people to access trails from their house locations. This is the ordinance that Gary and I have kind of been working on, but I think that ordinance is going to take a little while. It's going to take longer than 2 months. So
you pretty much take it road by road, case by
well,
case.
at this point, we want to kind of take Daring Ridge Road. Obviously, when we were here, we had talked about Daring Ridge Road. We had also talked a little bit about East Shore Road. Seemed like we had quite a bit of opposition to East Shore Road at the time, and realized that a lot of that road was private. I believe where the trail came out, it was on the paved section, so it was kind of a moot point, but not something worth arguing about. So I guess at this point, we're at the point where we just need to continue the trail system the way that try to keep it the same as what it always has been. And like I said, it basically is from the end of Deering Ridge Road to Bennett Hill Road.
Should we give a temporary approval specifically to one road, one section of one road, until such time that, ultimately you're going to close your
Trails as soon as there's 6 inches of snow on the ground.
So that would cover it until an ordinance could be prepared to accommodate additional roads, right, in the spring.
Do you want to pick a date certain in case it doesn't snow? Or
Absolutely.
Or not?
We can call it.
First.
Are you
say?
driven by a date
For us.
specific, or is it 6 inches of snow?
We are 6 inches of snow.
Okay,
but,
so if you're going, you say
well,
6,
four,
I
I'd say
have
4.
4.
Yeah, no. I mean, ultimately, as soon as there's enough snow on the ground that anybody can ride a snowmobile, again, what we're trying to do is have a good relationship with both the snowmobile club and the ATV club. If we don't close the trails and we've got people out there riding on 3 or 4 inches of snow, it gets warm, it gets cold. Now they got ruts that are permanently in their trail system. So we really try as soon as and half of the time it's almost the first snowstorm. First snowstorm's usually 3 to 4 inches. So at that point we close it. So I would entertain either December 1st or December 15th. This year it could be November. I mean, you really don't know.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I've got a question. In looking at Denmark and Greenville and so forth, do you have any information at all concerning the deterioration of the road? I know that, first of all, I'm for this proposal. I think that, John hit the nail on the head as far as, recreational activities, and I think it expands that within the community. And it's another reason that makes us a destination point rather than a pass-through point to someplace else. But I'm also cognizant of the fact that we've put substantial amounts of money into trying to refurbish our infrastructure with respect to roads. And as you mentioned, you don't want them over so far that it's going to break that up, because I think that's one of the things starts to decay on the roads is if you're over on the edge and it starts breaking the edges away. And then, of course, when the winter comes, the snow plows catch on to these and they damage it even further.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, so that we're not, throwing more money after, more money to repair things, do you have any information from these other communities on how that's impacted them?
I don't have any information on it, but I will comment on it seems as though more and more of the locations that are allowing ATV access on their roads, as you enter onto the pavement, there are signs when you hit the pavement, please stay on the pavement. So this has become, so to some extent I would say it is an issue, you know what I mean? And what they've done to kind of fix that or try and curtail that from happening is making sure that people, as they're entering onto that access route, they're understanding that they have to stay on the pavement. So I think you do it with signage, and you hope that the majority of those people are going to...
I hope for voluntary compliance.
Correct.
It's the same thing with the speed sign.
Absolutely.
It says 35, but you know that obviously from our traffic studies that they're exceeding that sometimes,
Correct.
exorbitantly to
Correct.
the criminal speed level. So
The average speed on Daring Ridge Road, I think the last time we checked it was like 44 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Okay? So that means that somebody that's driving 35 and somebody that's driving 85. But so there's two issues that I see with signage. Number one is you're trying to present a sign to the riders that say you need to stay on the road, you need to comply with certain things. So there's one set of signs that are trying to alert your riders of what their requirements are. The other set of signs are for the guy that's driving 60 miles an hour down Daring Ridge Road that says, hey, you're in an ATV
access
area,
Yeah.
okay, and you need to slow down.
Yeah. So typically the road
Right.
typically the road signs are typically your standard diamond, your yellow diamond that's a 24 by 24, has an ATV picture on it, and it says ATV access route. So that's kind of like your head, the beginning of your trail where you're accessing that road.
So in this case,
and then periodically through that, there would also be again street signs, to the street level, right? 18 by 24s or 12 by 18s that are identifying 15 miles an hour. Obviously, we would have our signage, which are typically white with green lettering, that are also going to be somewhat visible on the side of the roads in different locations, telling people to stay on the pavement, that type of thing. So there are essentially two requirements, and those two requirements are also made by the state too. If the state does allow ATV access routes, but when they have an ATV access route, they require that you put up a yellow sign that's depicting that. And then we're responsible for putting up trail signs in the trails and that type of thing that are typical green ATV signs. Some have trail information that we can identify which direction you're going, stop ahead, arrows, that type of thing.
so what are we looking for?
So, we're looking at a temporary opening of the road, Daring Ridge Road, and at some time you're going to need a sign up there saying it's ATV access.
I wouldn't recommend opening the trail until we get the signage up.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, if you give us, if approval is something that we're going to get, I would put a contingency on that. Not until signage is done, and until Gary and I, or road commissioner, or whoever, Sean, absolutely, approve of what we have marked
And the frequency of it too.
Correct.
Okay, I will move that we make Daring Ridge Road from Bennett Hill to...
Does anybody know what address that?
Is it the Townhouse Road side?
Yeah, it's a townhouse roadside, but there's Doug Foglio owns the property. As you get towards the end of Deering Ridge Road, just before Weber Road, he owns the land on the right. We have access through his property.
So that's where you would go off.
We would come off from Deering Ridge Road, just before the hill there.
Okay, so I'll move that section of Bennett Hill be accessible to snowmobiles on the road. Not snowmobiles, excuse me, four-wheelers.
Well, I don't think you can limit it to four-wheelers.
No,
Yeah, you would call it ATVs.
Yeah.
ATVs. When the sign has been, when the road has been, when signs have been put up on the road showing that it is an ATV access.
Okay.
So once that happens, it's open. That's the.
Do you want to make sure that we clear that with the administrator and say your police officer in town?
You know, I think
It's gotta go through the
Gary
police
knows
officer.
where you are in the
I don't believe it's
process.
gotta go through the police officer, because he's
Well, we
gonna
can ask
enforce
him.
the speed, or he's gonna enforce whatever we've set for standards, but that's gonna be his job as far as enforcing whatever we set.
Yeah, so it really is, if I can add some language here, so that the start date would be once the town administrator is, and the ATV club are satisfied that sufficient signage is in place, right?
Okay, so then to turn over the actual start date to the town administrator.
Yeah, I think that would work, right?
Yeah, and, okay, and the town administrator will, when signs are up and he deems it ready, he can open that road for ATVs.
Sounds good. And I just want to clarify it's Deering Ridge Road, not Bennett
And do
Hill.
you want to put a closing date? I mean, this is temporary until we can work through an ordinance, which we would hope. that we
I would
could do
recommend that you do it to
December
this year.
16th.
Yep.
December 16th?
December
16th?
December
2016.
Okay.
Okay,
So just say December of 2016. Or until.
Or until
Or until
4 inches of snow.
trails are closed,
The trails are closed. You won't accept all of that?
well, again, I think Gary can, that's something that Gary can come back and tell us on. I think the major thing is we're okaying that road, we're okaying the first road to be open to ATV use, and then the particulars come down
Okay, so,
to Gary.
so,
My only thought is to have a public hearing to get the feedback before we give a permanent approval next year, next spring. That way we've got some feedback from the general public if this has been a bother or
if
something needs to be ironed out.
and if we come up with an ordinance, which we need to, that would have to go through public hearing.
Yeah.
So that would be this is the trial balloon, basically, right?
So we term this as a pilot project on it.
Right. So
To
this
do
is
an
a
assessment.
temporary approval.
They did that over in Acton on 109 and that turned into a mess. Because they tore the whole side of that new pavement up.
Well, we're going to make sure that doesn't happen here.
So we get, let me clarify, we need a motion that we would give temporary approval for ATV access on Deering Ridge Road, starting at Bennett Hill Road and ending at,
Townhouse Road.
well, they're not gonna go to Townhouse Road, but they're gonna go close to Townhouse Road, right?
Address.
500 yards at the end of Deering Ridge Road or
It
something?
just seems to make it really clean. I mean, there's no one down there anyway, so.
Right.
If someone came in from there.
So commencing with approval of the town administrator and ending December of 2016,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
Second on that? So that's John's motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that. You were looking down the other way, so
Well, I kept looking both ways.
He was looking both ways.
So, it's been moved and seconded that we would grant access. As soon as the town administrator and the ATV club deem signage and everything is appropriate, that's a little bit more than what the motion is, but ending in December of 2016.
So the only other thing that I'd like to ask is, we talked about a couple speeds, 15 or 20. Do we have a preference?
I say 20. Faster the better.
I'd say leave it up to the club.
If you're gonna be posting on the sign with the speed limit,
You
right?
post it, the speed limit's 35.
Right. But ATV usage is going to be posted at a
But
speed.
that's up to
so-
you guys.
Okay.
I don't know why we gotta get involved in it.
Okay. Fair enough.
We can't set a speed.
Well, how
limit
is the,
tonight.
how is the law enforcement presence gonna enforce the signs if he doesn't have, we have to have an ordinance backing up the posting of the sign, the speed.
Right. And we
Which you do. I mean, currently right now we have posted different areas along the side of the road, along like in front of MX 207. Actually, after you pull out of Doug's Pit and you're heading up Townhouse Road, before we get into Carthage LaBoy Lumber, we have that posted at 15 miles an hour. Pete Herring, this goes back a few game wardens ago, but Pete Herring had come and asked us to post that at 15 miles an hour so that he had something to stand by, you know. So it's posted. Now the law enforcement has a right
I
to.
would think I'd stay right with that one speed limit.
Yeah,
That's up to the club.
law enforcement should only care about whether or not, number one, that they have access. But from a speed limit perspective, the speed limit on that road is 35 miles an hour. And if anybody's going over 35 miles an hour, then he has to react to it. Why would he put, well, it's an ATV, they can only go 20.
Most towns do that. If you can go a little slower to slow the traffic down also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From my perspective, I'm gonna say 20 is a good speed. It's close to half of what the average speed is on the road. And if you're doing 40 and you come up on somebody doing 20, you have plenty of time to react, to slow down, to wait for an opening, that type of thing. So,
All right? Are you good with that?
I'd like to see some publication in the newspaper prior to that too, to give people notice that there's gonna be a change. And I noticed we have someone from the Reporter here, but we don't from the Journal. Something in there that,
we'll definitely want to do something with the journal.
yeah.
Certainly, I think that the town administrator will have to take responsibility to notify law enforcement and the news media, right? And we'll post it on the, well, let's get through this vote. It's been moved and seconded. Everybody understand what we're doing?
Yes.
All those in favor? Opposed? All right, motion carries. So you have permission through the end of this year.
Okay.
All right? And as I'm sure we will hear some feedback, both positive and negative, as this transpires, and then we'll put that into the work of developing an ordinance.
So if I can take this little opportunity to make a plug to all ATV enthusiasts that are out there that are watching the show, this is a great gift that we have been given. Let's not ruin it. Let's abide by the rules. Let's ride on the side of the road, ride intelligently, and try not to create any issues.
Todd, the camera ain't on.
Oh, it is on.
It's recording, it's not just not live, right?
Sorry.
It will be on.
It will be on, yeah.
It'll be replayed, right? Anything else?
That's it.
Anything else on the board? Thank you, and good luck, folks.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming.
We got a few openings on some boards here.
Right.
Can't ride at night.
Yeah, road review committee, that would be sort of tying in right with this, right?
Perfect.
Okay, old business, item A, discussion of the 202 easement. We now had a couple go-arounds, and now we've got to go around based on feedback from our attorney.
Well, we thought we were going to be voting on this evening, and that's not going to happen because we have, by state law, we have to notify abutters. And the surveyor, Steve Everett, is in the process of getting those 1 to 3 people identified to me There was a form in your packet for an abutters notice that comes out of state statute. There is then an order that you folks vote on after that, and then a certificate of discontinuance that Christine fills out. So we've got some other process to do, and that will be in process in, I would say, either October 11 or 25, we would finish this. Barring any other unforeseen obstacles.
Any questions from anybody? Just another delay and to make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Okay? Moving on. Other, discuss the vote to approve the minutes of September 13th, regular meeting.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. Pending decisions, we have the comprehensive plan task list, week's action list. I guess we will start to, we need to notify both law enforcement and any publications about our recent approval of ATV access. I think that is it. We've got our actions here tonight. We need to items. Well, let's talk about the agenda items for next for the 11th. The meeting on the 11th. Anything that someone wants to bring up?
We have shoreline zoning that evening.
That's right. Okay, that will probably be enough. We certainly won't lack for people here, right?
Probably.
All right, items needing signatures, minutes of the 13th meeting of the municipal quitclaim deed and the General Assistance Ordinance amendment. Okay, the reminders, I'm not sure that they are gonna scroll,
I'll go scroll.
but let me go through these quickly. Wednesday, the Land Trust is meeting 7 p.m. at the Old Town Hall. October 3rd, Monday, Community Garden, 6 p.m. the Old Town Hall. October 5th, 3 p.m. Economic Development Committee, Town Hall Annex. October 5th, the Water District at the Old Town Hall. October 5th, Wednesday, the Planning Board meets in this room. Monday, October 10th, Parks and Rec Committee, Old Town Hall at 6:30. Monday, October 10th, the 12 town group meeting will actually be a candidates night for all state representative and Senate candidates representing any of the 12 towns, right?
So far, 15 of 30 candidates have confirmed attendance.
What date is that, please?
October 10th.
A holiday.
It's a holiday. Okay? October 10th, Cemetery Committee is meeting over the Old Town Hall, and then October 11th will be the Selectmen's meeting here. We have item 17, an executive session scheduled here, commencing as soon as we have a vote. But I would suggest we move into executive session for 1 M.R.S.A. Section 405 6A regarding Public Works Director's position. And if we have a vote to commence in 5 minutes, I guess, just give us time to clear the room. So, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Been moved. Do I have a second? To go in executive session?
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Opposed? That will take place in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Close that out and then go print out a new job description for you.
Okay.
You know, we should consider the design standards as part of the comprehensive plan task list,
Yep.
because that's what the planning board did. So that's a beginning on that.
Yeah, so why don't we do that under 12 pending decisions? Add the design standards.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You made a motion for John Southworth for the zoning board of appeals.
That's the only one.
We have to shut
Right.
this off.
Okay.